Starting price on a base Q60 coupe is around $42,000. This one, $66,000. When we're looking at the Q60, it's in the kind of entry-level coupe segment for luxury brands. And looking at the Q60, it is in the entry-level, luxury, or premium two-door coupe segment. Every vehicle in this segment is rear-wheel drive with the option of all-wheel drive, with the exception of the Audi A5 S5, which is Quattro, so we'll start with that one. The leader of the segment, the one that established the segment, is the BMW 4 Series. Used to be the 3 Series, now it's called the 4 Series. Then you have the Mercedes-Benz C-Class Coupe and the Lexus RC. So those are your four competitors, and we have the Infiniti here. So, you know, Infiniti is famous for kind of following what Nissan does, which is the parent company, which is introducing something, shaking up the segment. The very first G35 had 260 horsepower back in 2003, and that was more than the BMW 3 Series. Everybody was up in arms, and before you know it, Infiniti had the least amount of horsepower in the segment. As you can see, the Q60 it's pretty roomy. It's about average for the segment. I would say the Lexus has the most compromised room of all of them, but it's very comfortable. So right now we're in Sport Plus, which is definitely the more fun mode, and you can see that the shifts are a little bit quicker. Makes a nice, little better exhaust note. So, like I said, it's a very competent vehicle, one we've enjoyed driving. Certainly would like to see a better price point, but it does handle nicely. This new engine feels a lot lighter. I keep saying new because for years, you know, they had the 3.5 and then the 3.7 liter, and normally aspirated. And when they switched to the turbo, it got a lot lighter and livelier. And so, good job on that. But there's still so much more that this vehicle could be. And you know, for that matter, we'd love to see a convertible. I think that'd be very appropriate for the brand. Okay, we're done. You are now in the driver's seat of the 2020 Infiniti Q60S Red Sport. As you can see, it's a very adequate, competent interior. It's the best way I can describe it. Nothing about this is really earth-shattering, especially if you look at vehicles like the Audi A5 S5 and Mercedes-Benz C-Class Coupe. Those vehicles, in my opinion, have completely changed the segment and moved the needle, especially when it comes to the interior. I mean, they're going with much larger cockpits, cockpit screens, virtual cockpits, very digital. I don't mind the analog, but I should get a discount for Infiniti still sticking with their old tech in here, as opposed to not moving forward with new technology. And I think people in this segment, let's be honest, who's buying this car? Probably a lot of empty nesters, just people who maybe it's just one or two people, don't really need a back seat, don't need a lot of cargo room, and so they're going with something like this because it's still stylish. There's something romantic about a coupe for sure. And so I appreciate the segment and what it is, but at $65,000, it better bring something. The seats are good. The steering is okay. Even the power delivery for 400 horsepower, it could be better. So there are a lot of things that I think Infiniti could do better, but they're not, because all the money right now is going into crossovers, and SUVs. That's just where it's at. That's 70% of the market. And when you look at the other 30% as being passenger cars, coupes have such a small sliver that it's not even worth mentioning. They don't even sell 1,000 of these a month nationally, so they're not going to put a lot of effort into improving it. The good news is that it shares a lot of the same nuts and bolts and widgets from the Q50, and that vehicle still sells a little bit better, and so it's still going to get some love, and whatever love it gets can trickle down into the Q60. But if you're looking for this as a cutting edge, state-of-the-art vehicle, look elsewhere. Infinity's always had a pretty good reputation. They've been pretty reliable, decent resale value, really no glaring issues, but they've also kind of just been very bland and just really the wallflower brand, if you may. It just kind of blends in with the landscape of luxury / premium vehicles. They're certainly not up there with the Germans as far as the innovation, but they're doing just fine. When I look at something like the Genesis G70, I know that's a sedan, but there's rumor there might be a coupe version. To me, that's really where this vehicle should be priced. I was a little shocked to see almost $66,000 MSRP on this vehicle. It really hasn't changed significantly since it was launched in 2017 as an 18 model. So it is what it is. You have a nice, pretty decent transmission made by Jadco. It's a 7-speed. It's not a dual clutch, but it's good enough. You have the different drive modes, and we really found ourselves having to use Sport Plus more and more because otherwise there's a little bit of a delay. This particular model has a lot of carbon fiber, contrast stitching, so they've added little touches to make you feel like you're driving something a little more premium. And look, I'm not going to knock anyone for buying this vehicle, but I don't expect a great resale value. I think these are, very niche vehicles, and for my money, I could do a lot more with $65,000 than this. But if you absolutely have to have a two-door premium, small or compact coupe, this is, it's right up there. I would certainly put the Germans, Mercedes, BMW, and Audi at the top, but I would put this above the Lexus RC. I think that vehicle was a pretty big disappointment. The RCF is kind of fun, that's unique, but just the regular RC, not that special. I'm going to give that vehicle kind of like an incomplete grade, but it does have the Lexus badge, so it certainly elevates it to more acceptable status. You have the split screen going on here, which is okay. It's not my favorite. Certainly quirky. You don't have a tune button. You have to use a dial. You have to use this toggle, which we've gotten used to. But overall, the Bluetooth was okay. HomeLink worked just fine. So it's a very nice vehicle. But if the price were $55,000, I think this will be a solid buy. I would give it thumbs up and say, yeah, you can have a lot of fun for $55,000. At $65,000, they've just lost me. I think, in my opinion, Infiniti has lost its way a little bit. Hopefully they'll find it, but all the money's going, like I said, is going towards the SUVs and the crossovers. Still, it's a neat little car, and the fact that they can still manufacture rear-wheel drive cars like this is a good thing. I mean, we need them. As you can see, it's relatively quiet in here. I'm purposely using the natural sound so you can hear it, but it's relatively quiet. You have artificial exhaust note being pumped in, but that's pretty much par for the course. Everyone's doing that. The engine's fine. I mean, it's very responsive, much better than the outgoing engine that they had, the normally aspirated V6. It's been years since it's been replaced, but this new twin turbo is really a nice option for this vehicle. So not much else to get excited about or talk about. I mean, the fuel economy, it's just okay. We've been driving spirited fashion, so the infotainment, it's just okay. think that's just the way I would describe this car. I'd give it probably a really solid C+ or B-. It's just okay. It's, again, lower the price by 10 grand and you've got me. Keep it at 65 and I'm not sold. So there you go. I'm Ron Doran. Thanks for watching. See you next time on the driver's seat.